Hi, I'm Jessica Ann Pressler, a licensed clinical social worker, here with my dear friend, my dear, very intelligent friend, Jill Oshinsky. Hi, Jill.
Hi, Jess. How are you?
And just let everyone know who you are.
I am Jill Oshinsky. I am a national board certified health and wellness coach, and my business is Inspire Body and Mind.
Well, thank you for being here. So, we are taking on different subjects. Today, we're talking about menopause. And I'm going to read the symptoms of menopause and then we will take it away. So, symptoms of menopause for those who are experiencing them, had experienced them, or will experience them one day. So these are for the females out there. Here are some symptoms that we're going to speak about: night sweats, hot flashes, changes in mood, changes in menstrual periods ceasing, decreased sex drive, vaginal dryness, breast tenderness, headaches, change in taste, burning mouth sensation, feeling tired, joint pain, bloating, digestive changes, electric shock sensations, body aches and muscle tension, trouble sleeping, itchiness, memory problems, problems concentrating, brittle nails, hair thinning, stress, incontinence, gaining weight, allergies, feeling dizzy or faint, irregular heartbeat, more fragile bones, being irritable, body odor changes, anxiety, panic disorder, and depression. And they say the average of women, it's between ages 45 and 55. Of course, there's exceptions. And the symptoms can last as long as they say 10.2 years in the study that I'm reading. So up to obviously, or not at all. It's personal. I think that some people have no symptoms, some people have a few symptoms, some people have symptoms during perimenopausal, and so I know I just made a long list, and I have to tell you, some of those things were surprising to me. I didn't know about changes in taste, for example. So they were very interesting. We all talk about vaginal dryness or maybe some memory issues, difficulty concentrating, mood changes, all of which we're going to discuss. But I think that one point I wanted to make, and then I'm going to let you take over a bit, is that it used to be, at least I thought it used to be, the doctors would just do estrogen replacement or hormonal replacement. And I think times have changed. I think people are looking at these individual symptoms as individual issues. And instead of just throwing out a hormonal replacement, which there is some discussion about the danger of that as well, they're dealing with individual issues in many different ways. So I wanted to talk to you about that. So tell me your thoughts.
So I love the fact that they don't today lump everything together as menopause as one symptom, because as you just named, there are many different symptoms that can be addressed separately and should be addressed separately, in my opinion. And I think that there's an emotional aspect of it, as you know, which is it's a different time in life. It's a change in life. And women are thinking, well, the last 30 years or so, 40 years have been about, if you had children, about getting pregnant and raising children. And as you said, if you do not have children, your window has essentially closed. And that in itself is a bit of an emotional
A mourning process.
reckoning.
A
Yes.
mourning process. Yeah.
So I think that all of those things go into the emotional aspect of menopause. And then there are the physical symptoms, which you mentioned. And we can talk about some of the specific ways that we can address some of the bothersome symptoms. For
Mhm.
example, hot flashes is one of the symptoms,
Mhm.
and vaginal dryness. And from my perspective, believe in addressing a lot of these things with a more basic approach that you would sort of address many other ailments with,
Mhm.
and that is the basics. I always go back to the basics, and that is diet does play a huge role in how we feel and how our bodies operate. And diet definitely helps our bodies operate more efficiently. So I can name a few foods that are particularly
Mhm.
helpful. Cucumbers being one of them. Cucumbers cool down the body, and they also combat dehydration. Dehydration has a lot to do with the dry skin that people experience, the vaginal dryness, and also in cooling down the system that can alleviate a lot of the hot flashes that women experience. So the simple thing to do would be to have cucumber juice every day while you're going through this, particularly maybe in the warmer weather. Cucumbers have a tremendous amount of benefit. So that would be uh, one food that you could have. And then there are I'm going to actually read because there are 9 of them, but I wrote them down.
Oh, definitely would love to hear.
Okay, I'm going to go through the list first, and then we can talk specifically about why. Wild blueberries
Mm.
uh, are another one, and wild blueberries support the liver, and they give you energy, and they are a detox.
Mhm.
So clearly, when women are menopausal, oftentimes they feel fatigued, and so wild blueberries are a great thing to have, and you buy them frozen, you keep them in your freezer, and they're delicious.
Mhm.
And they have a lot of nutritional benefits and detox benefits. Uh, Third one is sesame seeds.
Mhm.
Sesame seeds have a lot of protein and calcium, which, um,
Protein, so interesting. I never would have known that.
well, seeds
Seeds.
do
Mhm.
have protein, but I didn't know that they had calcium. And since women are often prone to osteoporosis
Mm.
this time of life, who knew that sesame seeds have so much calcium? But they're good for weight loss, bone density, and headaches.
Interesting.
So that's sesame seeds. Then avocados, all good foods. I
Mm.
mean, if these foods can be incorporated into your diet and
Mhm.
you enjoy them, they have a lot of benefit and sounds easy enough to do.
Are you supposed to be having all these foods every day? Is it something that you
I think when it comes to these healthy foods, the more you eat, the more you're going to benefit. So if you like avocados, listen, I wouldn't go crazy. Avocados are still a fat. It's a healthy fat, but I don't think you can eat an unlimited amounts of any food. But certainly you could have maybe a quarter of an avocado every day, maybe a half an avocado every day. I don't think that that would hurt you. But it's funny because my mother, if I tell her that something is good for her, she will eat that food until she's sick.
yeah,
So you have to use a little bit of
discretion, like some might, yeah.
common sense.
That's fair.
But yeah, I mean, I think you can probably eat an unlimited amount of. uh, I'm not up to it yet, but asparagus.
Mhm.
I mean, certainly you can have asparagus every day, and it would only benefit you. Um, anyway, avocados are support for the heart and reproductive system. So, as you know, a lot of times during menopause, women have a tendency to experience uh, heart disease. They're more prone to strokes during this period of time in their late 50s and 60s. So avocados are good for cardiovascular health and also for the reproductive system.
Mhm.
So that's avocados. And next is spinach. Another good one. Spinach is good for the immunity and also for mental sharpness, which many people, when they're going through menopause, experience brain fog.
Yeah.
and
Right.
um, tend to be forgetful. So
Mhm.
spinach is helpful in that. Also good for the eyesight. A lot of us experience some
Definitely have eye changes. Yes.
eye
I can.
changes during this time. And I do think a lot of these changes do tend to crop up around menopause.
Mhm.
So spinach also relieves brain fog.
Mhm.
So all of those symptoms can directly be addressed by eating foods like spinach.
Mhm.
Number 6 is apples.
Mhm.
Apples detox the GI tract. So it aids in weight loss, and also it is an antioxidant and the phytonutrients. Um,
And I know the gut now is also, people talk about the connection to your mental state as well. How important the gut is. A healthy gut, healthy everything else, right?
I think the gut is probably the center of our universe when it comes to our bodies.
Mhm.
It's the center of our immunity. It's the center of our whatever ailments are usually boiling down to some imbalance in your GI tract. So anything that addresses that, and apples are great for the GI tract.
Mhm.
I would venture to say you probably can't have too many apples.
Mhm.
What
Goes
else?
back to some nice old sayings like apple a day keeps the doctor away, has some truth to it.
Well, they obviously started somewhere, so I'm sure that there was a reason,
Mhm.
and apples are well, more specifically, the antioxidants and the phytonutrients help prevent stroke and many types of cancer.
Wonderful.
So that's apples. Asparagus support the adrenal glands. They are a detox, and they also give us energy.
Mhm.
And then grapes also are antioxidants. And let's see. Okay. Grapes have bioflavonoids, resveratrol, nitric oxide, which opens the blood vessels and reduces blood pressure and encourages circulation.
Mhm.
It's anti-aging and disease prevention. So that's grapes. We've all heard of resveratrol, and we know about the beauty effects that resveratrol can
And
have.
don't. Do you want to tell us about it?
Well, they say red wine, the
Oh,
resveratrol
okay.
in red wine
Now I
is
understand.
beneficial. Of course, we all know that grapes have resveratrol as well,
Okay.
and alcohol should always be in moderation. That is one of the foods that I'll mention later. That one of the things that we should avoid later on, or not completely avoid, in moderation if you are going to imbibe.
You mean alcohol in general or certain?
Yes, alcohol is beer and wine is included in that. Everything in moderation. Abstinence is good too. Um, I'm not going to abide by that, but abstinence is, I mean, we're going through menopause. We got to have a little bit of fun, but but we'll get into that later. Anyway, the last one on my list is raspberry leaf,
Oh,
which
the leaf, not the
raspberry
raspberry.
it's a not raspberries, raspberry leaf, and it has antioxidants and nutrients that fortify vital organs, reduce hot flashes, quench inflammation, and balance hormones. That's raspberry leaf.
Hmm.
So, and I believe it comes in a tea. I'm not sure what other forms it can be taken in. Probably, I'm sure some sort of tincture or capsule, but it can also be enjoyed in a tea. So
Or just
that's raspberry leaf.
on a leaf.
Possibly, possibly.
Know what it tastes like. I've
What
never.
it tastes like, it could be bitter, but yes. So, Anyway, those are 9 foods that we can enjoy every day and that directly, uh, very directly address many of the menopausal symptoms that people go
That's
through.
wonderful. Wonderful to be able to do it through really everyday foods. These aren't unusual foods. This is most likely half of those things are in our refrigerator right now.
Now, we discussed this before, and listen, we don't know if it's our genes or whatever, but you and I both have said that we didn't really experience much in the way of menopause.
Right.
So I want to suggest that it is possible that it is genes, but on top of that, you and I are both uh, very conscientious of our diet. We eat a lot of healthful foods, and we also exercise mostly every day. Um, so I think those 2 things right there probably went a long way toward us uh, experiencing maybe minimal amounts of symptoms. Um, what do you think?
I think it's a mixture, and I don't know the ratio, but I definitely think that lifestyle, which is what you're about, we're both about, like, teaching a healthy lifestyle for overall health, mind, body, and soul
Correct.
is the way to go. You certainly can't hurt you. It only can benefit your life. It only can make you have a better quality life.
Right.
And I would think it seeps into every aspect of our being. So if
Right.
you eat healthier and exercise and do those things, you just feel better. Your body has less stress.
And you also, if you exercise, you're probably going to sleep better. And if
Mhm.
you sleep better, you're probably going to have less mood swings. And if you sleep better, your body produces less cortisol, which puts the pounds on. So you can see how there really is sort of this trend when you have the proper habits that
Mhm.
puts you on a path toward managing a lot of the menopausal symptoms that most people experience.
So I do want to address, and we can go back to foods again. I do
Yes.
want to address what happens when we get to be menopausal age. So some of the things, obviously, I'm not going to touch on everything, but the things, what's going on with women who are approaching 45 to 55 and beyond. So we talked, you mentioned before about the body changing as a married person, your body changing as a single person or as a newly single person, and having to deal with your body changing, wanting children and not being able to have children, and your body changing after having children. So, how to deal with this aspect, and also not that it's the end of your life, but it's the last uh, third of your life, and to deal with that, many of us have lost or are losing our parents. We're that next generation. A lot is going on. So I know I just threw out a lot of different things, but uh, these are, and then having the empty nest. We were, some of us who did not go to work, or even if you went to work, you're defined by being a mother, if you had children, or being a wife. And then now some people decide to retire, and other people decide to go to work for the first time in 30 years. So many changes at this time. I mean, and some people move away. I know that when I was 52, I got up from the only place that I'd lived my whole life, really within I say a 50-mile radius, probably more like a 30-mile radius. And I drove across the country and moved to California from New Jersey. Huge changes. So we have,
Much
this,
to the dismay of most of your friends, but that's
but I was right when I did it. I miss my friends
but
more
you're
than
happy, so we're happy.
super happy. but, uh, but I'm just saying, like, this is a time where where there could be many changes. So it's not just our body, but our world is changing. And any thoughts?
I think that that's all very true. It's almost a whole new ball of wax when you get to menopause. As you said, the whole world really has changed. A lot of us are sandwiched between either parents that have passed or aging parents that are not well. So
Mhm.
we're dealing with all of those issues. And you're still dealing with children that are just young adults that are dealing with their own issues. So we're sort of sandwiched in between all of those things at the same time that we are going through our very physical
Mhm.
symptoms. And also, there's a lot of positives and negatives because you are empty nesters now, and there is a certain amount of uh, fun that can be had once the kids are gone. You can sort of get back to uh,
Walk around naked in the house?
that, leave your doors opened, not
Right,
hear your children's voices when you're having sex. Uh,
right.
all of those things
You
are
need
um,
to say to the dogs, like, "Shh, the dogs can hear."
right, right. So there were ups and downs to all of
Right.
this particular period in time. And, you have to sort of navigate the more difficult challenges. And it's a whole new ball of wax. And what do you want to do in this final third of your life?
Mhm,
Do you want to work? Do you want to go back to what you were doing? Do you want to start something new as I've done and as you've done?
mhm.
What exactly do you want to do? And all of those things
And
are
facing, how does the world see it? I mean, you and I are going into a world that we can do at this age, but if someone wants to, because we're self-employed, we're doing this on our, what we're doing basically.
correct.
But how does a woman who's 60 years old want to start working again? Is someone going to employ her?
That's a very good point.
Or how do people see 60-year-old people now as employable when or do they want a 22-year-old out of college who's, they can have for, so.
And that is a reckoning. That certainly is a reckoning. So that does take some reinvention because if
Mhm.
you do find that the job market is not particularly receptive to a 60-year-old woman,
Mhm.
what can you figure out to keep yourself A, busy, and B, produce an income?
Right.
So, it takes some imagination and reinvention to come up with some solutions to these things. And it's not easy, particularly if you rely on an income and it's not there. So
Although social media has been interesting because I'm now a member as I navigate this crazy social media world. And I do notice that, I don't know if it's made a difference, but I would think that it allows people, let's just say someone wants to open up a store. You can go on social media and sell your products. I think that it has opened up another world for people who want to be self-employed.
I agree.
I don't know the stats. I'm just throwing out that as a thought.
Right. Well, I mean, certainly it gives you exposure, social media, to let people know what you're doing.
Mhm.
And that there's a certain amount of support that goes into social media. People have suggestions, people um, can offer all kinds of help, but it's not at least you're not isolated. For someone who maybe is not married, maybe they're living alone, maybe they're divorced, social media does offer I know for my mom who's 90, social media really has kept her busy and kept her
Love
stimulated and motivated, particularly during COVID when many of the elderly people were
for
alone.
everybody. Yeah, social media was incredible during COVID, and I have to say, I love watching what your mother posts, or what looking at what your mother posts and her art. and her beautiful face, her beautiful
You
self.
know, I was thinking about this earlier. You and I should really do a little interview of some sort and have her as a guest of
I
ours.
would love that. Yeah,
How much would that be?
that'd be
Because
wonderful.
it is
I would
90,
love,
and
no, love, 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 love.
right, we
Talk to
have
her.
to do that.
We can do it next. I mean, whatever she ask her. I would love to. Love to.
We will absolutely do, and she would love it.
Yeah.
She would absolutely love it, and certainly, at 90, you have a few lessons that she could
Bless.
probably.
No tips from your. I just talked to her. Whatever, we can do it next. Not next week because Rachel's coming, but the week after.
You know what? We'll do it. She
We'll
would
do
love
it.
it.
So let's see.
We were talking about social media and how,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm trying to think of story. So menopause life. What do you think? Anything you can think of that would strike people? Is important to.
I'm trying to think.
Oh, I know. Okay, here we go. Because you can help with this. So one of the other aspects of getting older, and I can say we were talking about social media. I see ads for it. At least they're gearing toward me. I can't say a young person's getting the same ads I'm getting, but crepey skin. So one thing that I've noticed, I may not have had the typical night sweats and some of the other aspects of menopausal symptoms, but for sure my skin is changing. I have,
I would not know that. I would not know that from looking at you, my love, but okay.
Change. I mean, thank you, but it has, and I don't like it, and I can't figure out what to do with that, short of surgery or doing something that's to make my skin more youthful. Although I should moisturize it more. There, but are there things that I can do to take care of my skin better besides
Well,
the sun?
let's also quickly go back to hydration, which is
Oh.
hydration is definitely the single most important thing that you can do. I mentioned this in one of our other talks, and that is that hydration can often be the tipping point for someone who's experiencing a lot of symptoms but manages, and then someone who winds up getting into trouble. And hydration can be that tipping point that that really does you in, as opposed to someone who hydration is, I don't want to say the single most important thing that you can do, but it might be.
Interesting. Okay, that's
Yeah,
a great tip. And
yeah.
I do get dehydrated, so much so that I get dizzy at times.
And I see, especially, as I said, my mom is 90, and I have to be extremely cognizant, because if we are out and running around in the city and doing something, she really needs to be cognizant of the amounts of water that she has to have about, because it happens like that. On a dime, she goes from being fine to taking a major dive. And in an instant, she could get palpitations, and her blood pressure goes up in an instant. It really, um, her whole being changes, and it's dehydration. So we can never underestimate how important it is. But we were talking about skin, so I'm going to go back to saying, staying hydrated, and that's not just drinking water. Foods that have a lot of water content, watermelon, cucumbers, as I mentioned before. All of the fruits and vegetables have a very high water content, are important, and supplement your water intake. And I do think that that has a lot to do with.
Can we just talk about vaginal dryness, though? Does it do anything for vaginal dryness?
Yes, yes,
Okay, I may have said that with okay,
yes, absolutely. Again, being hydrated definitely does help all of that. Now, on top of that, to talk about vaginal dryness, coconut oil, very simple thing, so good for so many things. good for skin, good for your face,
On the
good for
outside, or are we eating coconut oil, or are you talking about putting on the outside?
outside, as well as, I mean, certainly coconut oil in very small doses, if you want to cook with it, is wonderful. But also for the skin to take off your makeup with coconut oil, very
Interesting.
hydrating. But also as a sexual aid to use it to combat vaginal dryness.
What a
Coconut
wonderful.
oil has a wealth of uses, and definitely it is good for the skin and the vagina.
and,
So
and safe, because safety is key.
it's
No
safe
chemicals, right? It's just coconut oil.
and such a simple thing, you
Hmm.
know. So yes, but listen, I am not going to say that I'm adverse to uh, dermatological interventions. There are all sorts of lasers and treatments that you can get to make your pores smaller, to get rid of dark spots. And I'm all for anything that makes you feel better.
Hmm. Hmm.
I certainly am a big advocate of anything that makes you feel better.
I think that's what we were all about, right? To do things to give us the best quality life that we can have.
And my mother can also give you, because my mother
I
has,
want her tips. She is breathtakingly gorgeous.
but my mother does so much on her own. She really has a wealth of tips on at home treatments that you can do for your skin.
Oh,
And
can't wait to have your mom on.
yes,
And
she
so
really,
people will see how beautiful she is and how she looks at least 30 years younger than she is, if not more like 65, so more. And okay, I did my bad math. But anyway, 25 years. She looks 25 years younger.
I
But
was going to say, don't build her up too much. She's going to be way too
no,
much. Can we just say at least a decade? Let's just say a decade.
no, she looks much younger than a decade younger. She looks about 65 years old and she's 90. And I'm not even kidding. And she is, thank goodness for you have her genes. So
Just don't tell me that she looks like my sister, because then I might start getting it.
you look like your sister because you look also 25 years younger. So where she's 25 years younger, you're 25 years younger than that. I mean, younger than you are. But
Okay.
no, but the genes are incredible. Her genes are incredible, but most importantly, she will teach us what she does and what,
Correct.
and I know that you've talked in the past about how you grew up understanding wellness because you're a mother. I know that the impetus was to keeping your father healthy, but it sounded like she also ate well and exercised. It was a quality of life that she taught you that you tried to keep up with or tried to do as well, that you're now teaching other people to do it. And I cannot wait to see her tip or hear her tips and
Well,
to.
I'll tell you, she's a big one for gadgets.
Oh,
She,
she is.
I don't know where, whether she sees them on infomercials, but she's got devices to make your lips plumper. She's got devices to make
That's
your,
true.
um,
So
in all that
tell
devices to
her
make,
then well, it's up to her if she wants to do it officially, but she can either talk about it or bring some of the gadgets on. Um, and maybe she'll she'll be an
I'll have
influencer
her bring them on.
and she'll be an influencer for those gadgets. She'll be advertising.
She has devices that, as we exercise our bodies, devices that exercise the muscles in your face.
Well, I mean, anyone that has seen her, I wish you could hold up a picture right now. Anyone that has seen her will know that these devices clearly work. I
Well, I
mean,
don't have a picture of her, but I do have her painting behind me.
yeah,
That
and
is as well
and talk about someone that is keeps doing things or at 90 years old, right? I don't know if she's painted recently. Has she painted recently? Does she still?
Uh, not so much recently. This year has been a rough year for her. This year she has been dealing with some thyroid issues. Finally, I think COVID
Mhm.
and after COVID, has been a little bit rough on her. She's coming out the other side, but she's definitely had a rough year. And as I told you, she fell and knocked her 3 front teeth out, which wasn't great, but she has having her implant surgery on Thursday, and hopefully she'll be on the mend right after that.
Implant?
Yes. For
Oh, implant. I'm like, implant.
no, no, her teeth.
Okay.
For her teeth, yeah.
That's right. You said oral surgery. Um, yeah. Anyway, please ask her to
I
come.
absolutely, it'll be fun. She'll look forward to it. Trust me.
We'll do that. We'll do that next time. Next time we do
I'll,
it.
I'll have to have her here because I'm not sure
No,
she.
no, it'll be great to have her here.
Right.
Or any
Um,
fun picture.
so what else can we talk about in terms of menopause that people have expressed concerns over? I'm trying to think.
I can look back at the symptoms. I'm just
Let me
okay.
see what I have in my notes here.
Uh-oh.
Oh, tips for managing menopause. Get regular exercise, relaxation, deep breathing. Okay, so I have some tips for managing menopause. And they are,
Okay.
we talked a little bit about this before, but get regular exercise, relaxation and deep breathing.
Deep breathing. Good for a lot of things.
Yes. So there is stress that goes with menopause. There's stress that goes with everything, but relaxation and deep breathing can be helpful. We discussed the healthful diet. It might be a good time to quit smoking.
Always a good time.
Always a good time to quit smoking. Limit alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all of these things are good for any time in life, but particularly when your body's under the stresses of menopause,
Right.
it could be it could go a long way towards aiding in a lot of those symptoms. Um, counseling for anxiety
Mm-hmm.
and mood changes,
Right. Even depression. I know depression also. There's a potential.
relationship changes,
I'm
changes in
sorry.
relationships.
Relationships. You said, yeah.
Right. So I'm sure you can tell us a lot about how people seek you out during menopause, during times where their mood changes and maybe it puts stress on their relationships and all of those things that change. Um,
Some of it is because of actual menopause, and some of it is just time of their life, where anything from, as I said before, people could be widowed, people could be newly divorced, their children are empty nesting, which means identity, finding their new identity. These are all that all come up at this period of time. The positive side, though, is sometimes people find this new freedom now. Now they can travel. Now they could, be themselves. Now it's about them. Now it's about their marriage. Now it's about, so it's not all negative. There's a freeing
absolutely.
aspect of this time as well. And sometimes they may just, want some guidance to how to go out into the world, you know. So
Right.
or as you and I, spoke about just, a little bit earlier, that finding, um, taking something we're passionate about and now having a new career and helping others through things that we've learned in our lives that now we have the ability to teach others.
Well, that's a big one. I think in helping others and taking the focus off of yourself, um, I think that that goes a long way towards people being better mentally and physically, spiritually,
Mhm.
by not worrying so much about yourself and not focusing on all of the things that bother you, the ailments and everything else, but reaching out and helping others. Um,
Could be
takes
charity work. Yeah.
takes your mind off of
Mhm.
yourself, which is always a good thing.
Mhm. I agree. It really can be a time of new beginnings.
Right.
Nurture, nurture your
A rebirth, if you will.
a rebirth. Not to say you have to get rid of your past, but a piece of you being reborn.
Well, Jessica, you're the perfect example because you packed up your bags, you moved to California, you found the love of your life, you got married,
Mhm.
you recreated your existence, and your glow tells us how much that has worked out for you.
Yes, this is true. And I did that all after 50. So yeah, there's always a chance at happiness. And there's always,
You're the perfect example of how,
Mhm.
uh, with that later part of life, you can actually find yourself.
Yes, yes, it's true. Proof in the pudding. Is that the expression? I
It's in the pudding.
don't know how that, yeah. All right, love. Thank you.
Are we good?
We're good.